morning, good morning, good morning. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Clap your hands, clap, clap, clap. Stomp your feet, stomp, stomp, stomp. Spin around, spin, spin, spin. All right. Good morning, good morning, good morning. 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 Wash your hands, wash, wash, wash. Shake your hands, shake, shake, shake. Brush your teeth, brush, brush, brush. All right. Good morning.
I'm running through sound engineers like, how many have I fired in the last couple of weeks? You're fired! I'm telling you, sound engineers are hard to find. Harder than you might think. SALEEN driver, what I was saying is hold off a second. I'll call you because it's going to be a three-way call, me, you, and BVD. And I think I have to initiate the call to you to turn it into a three-way call. I'm no expert, but I think that's the way it works. So is your number still the same as it was a couple of months ago? Your phone number ends in 38, sir. Let me know. Yeah, Billy boy. No. I'm not better than this. Let me tell you what the problem is, because if you notice, that happens. That's the third or fourth time that's happened on the morning show, where there's no sound at the beginning of the show. Never happens on the nighttime show. For some reason, and this further illustrates the point of me not being better than this. For some reason, the intro, the good morning song, right? For some reason, when it plays on two different tracks on the program that I use to live stream. It plays on an audio feed from the computer, but for some reason, it also plays through the microphone feed. I don't know why. So if I don't turn the microphone all the way down on the computer while the good morning song is playing, it plays twice, and one of the versions plays like a tenth of a second behind the other version, and it just sounds weird. So I have to turn the mic all the way down when I play the good morning song. And then when it ends, I got to turn the mic back up before I start talking. And obviously I forgot again today. It's third or fourth time. It doesn't do that on the nighttime show. When I play the intro on the nighttime show, it just plays on the one track. So anyway, I don't know. I can't get it figured out, but it's a minor. I've said this before. You guys should see. First of all, the setup I have out here is overkill. I have like a 14 channel mixer out here. Someone sent it to me, and God bless them. I'm glad that they did, because it's allowed me to do a lot of things that I wasn't able to do before, like run my phone calls directly through. You guys remember like a year and a half ago when I did these shows, I would hold the phone up to the microphone like this. There's nothing wrong with doing that. There's some people that still do that, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But it is inconvenient, and the people that do that will tell you that. It's inconvenient to have to hold the microphone up. So now everything just runs through this soundboard that I have. So, but anyway, the point is, I don't know how to work any of it. It's foreign to me. I had to get somebody over here to help me set it up to start with. And I said the other day, if somebody were to come out here while I was gone and unhook everything out here and jumble the wires around and then ask me to hook it back up again, it would be impossible. I wouldn't know how to do it. So I'm no expert. I have come close to mastering exactly what I need, but I don't know how it works. Like I couldn't really tell you how. I can't really tell you how any of this works. So anyway, good morning in that. It's Uncle Lou here. Welcome to the morning show with Uncle Lou, and BVD will be calling in here soon, I'm sure. There he is now. Good morning, sir. Happy birthday in that.
Yeah, is this the morning show?
Yeah, yeah. You managed to dial the right number today. What can we help you with?
I hear you need a sound man.
I know you're not volunteering for the job, sir. I've seen you talk for 5 minutes on mute.
Damn it! That's intentional, by the way.
Nice try.
I thought you knew that. I've been trying for 11 years now on YouTube to convince people that I'm a dumbass. Apparently, it's not working.
Well, some people need more convincing than others, I reckon. I don't know.
Good. How are you this morning, Mr. Sir?
I'm good. Is today your actual birthday?
It is. It's actually my 52nd birth anniversary, which would make it, as the rest of the world calls it, my 53rd birthday.
53rd.
Yep.
I'm confused. Are you turning 53 today? Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
Great. And what's BVD got planned this weekend for his 53rd birthday bash?
I thought I would start it off with about an hour and a half of the Uncle Lou and BVD morning show today.
That sounds like a pretty good plan.
And then gonna follow that up with a doctor's appointment.
Oh.
And I guess whatever happens after that will depend on how the doctor's appointment goes.
Makes sense to me.
Yeah. Probably a trip to the pharmacy for more blood pressure medicine.
Well, man, it's
shaping up to be a great weekend.
Yeah, this is just an exciting weekend for you. People really have a lot to look forward to as they age in life. Let's see how this works out. I don't know if it will or not.
Yeah, I'm trying to give the people something to look forward to as they get older.
Honey, what's your name? Sienna. Okay, let's sing together for Sienna. All right. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Sienna. Happy birthday to you.
Am I supposed to have volume with it? Oh, it does have volume with it.
Fa ra 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 ra.
Hey, I went through that this Christmas. Don't know if you remember.
I do.
That or not.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I do. But have you ever been to one of those places for your birthday or somebody else's birthday where they come out and sing to you and put a stupid hat on you? Or like the Mexican place here, they put this giant hat on you and they.
Oh yeah,
You know, you've been through that before. I guess probably just about everybody has.
the worst is when like your parents do it to you when it's not your birthday.
Yeah.
My mom was good for that.
Yeah.
She was a jokester.
I heard Camel does it every time he goes out just for a free piece of pie. He's hungry though. Anyway, moving right along. This
17 minutes.
This is the morning show with Uncle Lou and BVD. We do this show every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 8 a.m. It's a sports-ish themed show, mostly. Well, no, not even really mostly. But anyway, we appreciate you guys tuning in this morning. And if you're interested in sponsoring this show some kind of way, let me know. Email the show, crazyunclelou@gmail.com. Maybe you own your own business. Maybe you're a troll with money to blow. Whatever the case, literally anybody can sponsor this. If you've seen the nighttime shows, then you know. Literally anybody.
Troll money's just as good.
Yeah. You know, literally anybody can sponsor the show if you've seen the nighttime. We had a Natty Back Steve fireworks stand sponsor for a couple of weeks on the night show. We've currently got M&M's massage parlor sponsoring the nighttime show, located in Gainesville, Florida, and you probably can figure out what MM stands for. We'll ask SALEEN Driver, who will be joining us here in a few minutes, if he has frequented MM's massage parlor. He is a Florida man, that SALEEN Driver.
Yeah, what inspired that, by the way?
What, to have him on?
Yeah, a Florida fan right out of the gate.
Well, he was the one that took me up on the offer first. So,
all right, fair enough.
Like we talked about the other day, for those of you maybe that didn't tune in the other day, we're going to try to start having a third person on at least once a week. So if you're interested or you want that person to be you, same email, crazyunclelou@gmail.com, and we'll see if we can get it worked out. We'll try it, see how it goes, but give you guys a third person to listen to every once in a while, other than me and BBD. But I mean, let's be real. Look at these two faces right here. Let me see if I'm going to try to make the BBD face. Let me see. How am I doing?
Too much hair and too many teeth.
Anyway, there is some college football news we can talk about today. The pay for play thing is interesting to me for obvious reasons, and it's getting more interesting by the day. And you know, I always said there might be certain things they could do or should do. Like some of the things probably, to quote every Auburn fan on earth, aren't fair. But my fear, and I think most people's fear, and the reason why all of this stuff was illegal in the first place is because once you crack that door open, even with the best of intentions, there's just no way to stop the flood that is sure to come. And, you know, it's the law of unintended consequences. You know, you can plan for everything that you know might happen, but what about all the things that are going to happen that you couldn't plan? I mean, it's just a Pandora's box, and once this thing gets cracked open, you know, it's you're not going to be able to stop it. It's just going to be pretty much a free for all, and you know, we're starting to see that already now before these new rules have even gone into effect. But they're already now looking at expanding what players can be compensated for. You know, they passed a law, or they changed the rules a couple of months ago to go into effect in a couple of years, where the players can now profit off their name, image, or likeness. Like they can appear in commercials, and, you know, they can sell their autograph, things like that. And they said, okay, you know, that'll be it. We'll let them do that. And then here we are, not even 3 or 4 months after they made that change, still 2 years before the change goes into effect, and they're already now discussing additional. And again, I'm not against people making money. I'm a capitalist like everyone else, but I'm a college football fan for a reason. You know, there's a reason I like college better than NFL, and I just don't want money to ruin the sport that we've all come to know and love, whether it's, you know, turns into straight out buying players or what. And, you know,
any more than it already has.
Well, but and that's the thing. People say, well, oh, these players get paid now. Well, for the people that can't understand the difference between $100 handshakes and $1 million signing bonuses to an 18-year-old, I don't know what to say to those people. It's just not the same. It's just not the same. So, but again, if you hold that opinion that there's no difference between a $100 handshake and $1 million signing bonus, then there's nothing I can do or say to change your mind. You're just, you're incapable of seeing gray, I guess. To some people, everything is either black or white. I'm not talking about racism. That's nothing. I just mean some people are incapable of seeing nuance or gray areas in something. Everything it's either all or nothing. And that's never the case. Most of life happens in the middle. And this is the same with this here. But we'll talk about that in a few minutes, too. And National Signing Day coming up. And, man, that's really been ruined, hasn't it? The February signing day. It's almost hard to get excited about it anymore. Something like 90% of the ESPN top 300 players have already signed. You're pretty much filling in holes and gaps at this point. You know what it is? It's almost turning into, okay, all the really good players are going to sign in December, and then if you're lucky and a team has leftover scholarships, maybe they'll sign you in February. That's kind of what it's turning into. There's, you're going to get a few big-name guys that are signing in February, but again, 90% of the top 300 have already signed.
Guess we'll just have to move the excitement up a couple months.
Yeah, well, in December, like the one in December is exciting because you get all those guys that signed that day. I guess I'm just not used to it yet being in December. Like that first Wednesday in February used to be like a national holiday for college football fans. I mean, It was like Christmas morning for college football teams. You opened up all your recruits to see what we got here. Mm-hmm. And now, I don't know, maybe it's because it's like, 10 days before Christmas, or I don't know what the reason is. Maybe I'm just not used to it being in December yet. I mean, I did an all-day stream during signing day in December. I streamed from like 8 in the morning to 3 in the afternoon, and it was exciting, and we watched all the guys pick their hats and all that off the table all day long, and it was exciting. I don't know, it's just, to me, it's not the same as when, the only signing day we had was in February. But, I have a sickness and disease known as college football fandom, so obviously I'll be tuned in all day Wednesday on signing day, following every little thing that happens and doesn't happen that day. So me complaining about it is really pointless because it's not going to change anything I do.
It's ruined a lot of the good hat reveals, too, on the high school all-star games.
Yeah, those used to be fun, too, like the Under Armour game and the Army game. You used to have a lot of people announcing during those games. And you still have a few, but like you just said, the majority of the kids who used to announce during those games are now announcing during that early signing period in December. I want to clear one thing up, too, because I'm not a recruiting expert by any means, and I say that all the time, but I saw some comments on the live stream last night when we were talking about Zach Evans, and I was on the phone at the time, and I never got a chance to address them. But someone asked why Jordan Birch, 5-star defensive end, who verbally committed to South Carolina on early signing day, but never sent in his letter of intent. And there was a conversation going on in the comments section about how come, that it's been now a month and he still hasn't signed with South Carolina. So I just want to make sure all of you guys understand, if you don't sign during that 3-day period in December, you can't just decide you want to sign a week later.
Right.
You have to sign during those 3 days. If you don't, you can't sign until signing day in February. So it could be that Jordan Birch woke up 4 or 5 days later and said, yeah, I am going to go to South Carolina. But he just can't send in his letter of intent. It's not that signing day starts that day in December and just runs forever through February 8th or whatever the next signing day is. It's just a 3-day period there in December, that Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. If you don't send your letter in during those 3 days, you can't wake up a week later and say, okay, I'm ready, and send your letter in.
Have you ever seen an explanation as to why they did that anywhere?
I'm sure it has to do with recruiting in general. Like if you could just send it in anytime I don't know. The coaches must want it that way, I guess, for a particular reason, so that they know, who they need to go see, who they don't need to go see. I don't know. I guess, because I know there's all kinds of weird rules about when you can see a recruit, when you can't, when you can call them and when you can't, when they can come to campus and when they can't. Yeah, like I said, I'm not a recruiting expert at all. I have just a base general knowledge of the process and how it works. There's people who know a lot more about that thing. That kind of stuff. Who would be a good person to ask about that would probably be Mark Rogers. I bet you he knows the recruiting rules and why they exist and all that inside and out. That guy's an encyclopedia of college football information. I'm sure he knows way more than I do about that. But anyway,
maybe we should get him on the show some morning.
He's so busy though. It took me like 3 weeks. I've had him on my show one time, and it took me about 3 weeks to get him on. He's a very
wake up.
No, that dude's always awake. I don't think he ever sleeps.
No, I meant for you to wake up after it was over.
Oh,
sorry. I had to go there.
Well, that was downright rude, BVD.
Yeah,
I'm gonna attempt a 3-way call. And we're gonna see how it goes. So BVD, if something happens, I hang up on you, I'll call you back. I honestly don't really know what I'm doing. Let me see here. What is this?
So this would be the first ever morning show with Uncle Lou and BVD threesome.
I don't know if I
technically.
I don't know if I like how you worded that. But yes. What is going on here? No, that's BVD.
All right.
BVD, entertain the people. I don't know. What are you doing? Entertain the people in that.
Well.
Oh, hell. Did I hang up on BVD? Probably.
More than that.
Yeah, good morning in that. No, I think I did it right,
comment
actually.
Section.
BVD, you there?
I'm there.
And SALEEN driver, you there too?
I'm here.
Look at that. I'm batting 1,000. Uncle Lou figured it out. First try.
Outstanding.
Yeah. There's nothing I don't know and nothing I can't do.
Yeah, but I want to say right off the top, I'm a little depressed right now that I just found out that I'm older than BVD.
Oh, thank you. That
Yikes.
Makes my morning.
Oh, my God.
I'm not the oldest person in the room.
I'm 1 year older than BVD, and I got a birthday coming up in March.
Oh.
Well, congratulations and condolences all in the same breath.
Oh, thank you, sir.
Yeah, and Mazel Tov in that too.
Yeah, Mazel Tov. Yeah. Oh, very good. You
Yeah.
pronounced it right. Yeah.
I think I asked you this one time before, but I want to ask it now for the benefit of everyone else.
Sure.
You don't hide this, so I'm not saying it in case anybody said, I can't believe he said that. I'm not saying anything you haven't said a million times in the comment section or live on this show, but you're Jewish.
Yes,
right?
I am.
When
Proud Jewish man.
When you got married, was it a traditional Jewish wedding?
No, well, no, because the woman I married was, well, technically she was non-denominational, but she was not Jewish.
Okay.
So my family rabbi wouldn't marry us. Also, we got married on a Friday, and a Saturday, I'm sorry, and that was during the Sabbath. So he couldn't come to the wedding until after sundown. So he actually came to the reception and blessed us both in front of all the people at the reception. But I actually had a justice of the peace. One of my dad's medical partners is also justice of the peace. He married us, and then I stomped on a wine glass, which is part of the ceremony.
Yeah, that's what I was getting at, because that's always been interesting to me. What do? You lay the wine glass on the ground and then you put something over the top of it. Is
Right.
there a meaning to what goes over the top, or is it purely to keep from cutting your foot?
It's pretty much purely to keep from cutting your foot.
Okay.
Well, the idea is that I drink from the glass. My wife drinks from the glass, and then the glass is shattered so that no one else can drink from that glass.
I got you. Yeah.
Symbolizing that the union and no one will be able to intrude upon the union because you get the symbolism.
Yeah. If I catch
This
anybody,
might be a good time, real quick, guys. This might be a good time to tell all the folks listening from Alabama that you have to drink from the glass before you break it.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. The gumps will. Yeah. Actually, the funny part of that is most of my now ex-wife. She's now an ex-wife. I don't think I've been too shy about that either. Most of her family is from around the Fort Payne area in Alabama, and for the vast majority of them, when they met me, I was the first Jewish person they ever met, and the questions I got were interesting, to say the least. Also, one of the first Yankees they ever met. I am actually born in Boston, but I've been living in the South most of my life. But between being the first Yankee they ever met and the first Jewish person they ever met, the family reunions were always interesting.
I can imagine.
Yeah.
But
I know you can't help who you fall in love with.
That's true. Yeah, that is true. I know you were listening to the show before you joined us here, so I'm sure you heard
Like
what
I'm
I was
supposed
saying
to.
about the pay for play and all that. I'm gonna put up on the screen now for the people watching an article off ESPN this morning, and then I'm just gonna read some of the articles so we all are on the same page and know exactly what it is I'm talking about here. But Mark Emmert, of course, head of the NCAA, says clear consensus on need to change athlete pay rules. NCAA president said consensus is growing among college sports leaders that college athletes will soon be allowed to make money from business ventures that aren't directly related to their athletic ability. It specifically mentions a list of things here. Where did it go? The committee is weighing the NCAA's options on the future of name, image, and likeness rules, which that's sort of the rule they changed a couple of months ago that's slated to go into effect in a couple of years. Players now own their name, image, and likeness and can do with it as they please, whether that's being in a commercial for the car lot down the street on campus or selling their autograph, whatever. We knew that was coming. The individual licensing, group licensing, and work product. The third category, the new one that they're looking into now, includes things like athletes teaching lessons, running their own business, or monetizing a social media following. And SALEEN driver, I think it was a Miami player. There was a high school recruit a couple of years ago who had a successful YouTube channel that was completely unrelated to football. I don't remember what the YouTube channel was or was about, but he had a fairly successful YouTube channel and he was making money from it. And
I remember this.
During his recruitment process, he was told by, I believe it was Miami. I might have the school wrong, but he was informed by Miami that according to the NCAA, he would have to shut that YouTube page down before he would be eligible for any scholarship or able to play college football at any level in the NCAA. And I think they sued and all that, and it didn't end well for the player, and he ended up having to shut his YouTube channel down.
The comment section is saying it's a UCF player.
UCF, okay. I guess I had the state right, but it took me 3 guesses to get the school right. But
I think that's such. First of all, let me back up real quick. I'm not a big fan of this rule change with the likeness, and I don't like it, but I understand it's the direction that the sport is going to go, and there's really, the momentum is there, and you can't. There's an old saying, during an avalanche, it's too late for the pebbles to vote. So it's happening, but I think that what they did to this poor UCF player was just absolute crap. I mean, the page had nothing to do with football. and you made them shut it down, you killed off a source of income. Now, I don't make income off my cage yet. I hope to get there soon enough, but it just, the killing the income for a kid who's probably coming from a fairly poor family, and every dime counts. Leave the boy alone. If it's not related to football, it's not related to UCF, leave him alone.
I feel pretty much the same way you do, and I've made it known. I'm generally, in general, I'm against the sort of let's pay players argument. But I remember when this case came up a couple of years ago, like I was conflicted because it made me feel hypocritical, because I said the same thing. I said this just seems like going a little bit too far. It didn't seem right. And there's actually another paragraph in this article. NCAA leaders are concerned that allowing a free market for athletes to make endorsement money will end up creating a scenario where boosters are paying athletes as part of the recruitment process. And that's sort of a drum I've been beating this whole time, is that once you say, okay, a player can sell his name, a player can be in a commercial, there's no way really to cap that. Or if a booster owns a car lot, right, and he wants to put a recruit or a freshman or whatever in a commercial, how can the NCAA or anyone else tell that business owner what amount he can pay that person?
It's going to turn into a bidding war, basically.
That's what it seems like to me. So let's say you got a quarterback and he's trying to choose between, we'll use Tennessee and Florida. SALEEN Driver's a Florida fan, BVD or Tennessee. What if you have a kid and he's choosing between those two schools, and a booster from Tennessee says, if you come here, I own a car lot. I'll pay you $1 million a year while you're here to do 4 commercials a year. And then the Florida booster calls him up and says, you know what, I own an insurance company in Gainesville. I'll pay you $2 million a year to do 4 commercials. How can the NCAA, that's clearly a bidding war and a school or a booster buying a player. That's clear as day in that scenario I just laid out. But if it's perfectly okay for a player to appear in commercials, how does the NCAA tell a business owner that doesn't work for the school, has no affiliation or direct ties to the school or the NCAA, how does the NCAA then tell that business owner, no, you can't pay him $1 million per commercial? That's ridiculous. How do you, and they're admitting here, they don't know how they're going to do it. They said the details of how to prevent this are yet to be determined. I suggest you start determining some of those details before this thing goes into effect, because it's going to turn into the Wild Wild West thing that we keep hearing. That's exactly what's going to happen.
I think that the new rules should add one thing to this. If they really want to, make it a little bit more, okay, they're student athletes, students first, and all that, all that winking and nodding that we all do about this, is if they're going to let the players make money off of their image and stuff, but they want to keep the quote-unquote purity of the sport, they should set up escrow accounts for these kids. Let them make their money, let them make their get profit off of their image and autographs and everything, but they don't get maybe they get a small percentage of the money for living expenses. Maybe we can cap it at 5% or something like that. But the majority of that money goes into an escrow account. The kid can't touch it until he either graduates and gets his degree, or he has to stay at the school for a minimum of 3 years, playing for 3 years. So he redshirts and then plays for 3, however that works. But the money, he can't touch the money until a certain point. That way, he makes his money. He gets a little stipend out of it for living, because we don't want these kids to starve. But the money is kept away from him. He can't, go out and buy a Bling Master 5000 sports car or whatever, and put diamonds in his teeth or whatever the hell these kids do nowadays. God, I am old. Just isolate them from the money. That way you can satisfy the people that say we should be paying these kids anyway because they're making bank for the university, and you can also satisfy the people that are the purists that say no, these are amateurs, they shouldn't be paid, et cetera, et cetera.
But here's the other thing, and you just hit on something. You said, look, these universities are making millions. These kids aren't getting any of that money. Zero.
No, they aren't.
None.
No, they aren't.
This is just allowing every other Tom, Dick, and Harry on the face of the planet that wants to give a kid money to give a kid money. The university is still going to be making all the money they've been making and not giving any of it to the student athlete. And number two, what kind of potential problems is this going to create in a locker room when you've got somebody like Jake Fromm, who was very popular amongst the Georgia fan base, making $1 million a year off of 4 pointless car commercials, while the offensive line is making nothing?
Does it create a situation where there's I'm trying to think about this and look at this from a competitive standpoint. Does this maybe add some sort of internal competition with the players where, well, look, Jake Fromm's got $1 million automobile dealership contract. Maybe if I step my game up, I don't know. I'm with you guys on this, but I've heard so many arguments from former players, that are out there championing the fact that players should get paid. I don't know. It's just a big Pandora's box and can of open worms.
Well, here's another thing to consider, because going off of what BVD just said, it just occurred to me that, and what you said, Lou, you've got a guy like Fromm or Trask or P. Ryan or Zeus or, the marquee players, the quarterbacks, the running backs, the divas that play wide receiver. I don't even want to go there. They're the ones that get all the highlights. They're the ones that are on the replays. They're the ones that are on the ESPN top 10s. They're the ones that are going to, garner the attention. The guys in the trenches, the O-line, the D-line, the linebacker. Well, the linebackers get some attention, but they're not going to make that money. Now, here's what I'm worried about. Now you've got a potential locker room cancer situation going on. Fromm's making $1 million and then goes fishing. The offensive line that's protecting him and keeping him upright for 90% of the game, they're getting no attention. They're getting no money. And unless Fromm decides on his own to spread some money around, which, maybe a good, smart quarterback would do that, now you're going to create resentment in the locker room. You're going to break the brotherhood in the locker room. What do all those retired players say, and the players that can't play anymore say? What do they miss the most? They miss the room. They miss the camaraderie of the room. Now you're introducing a situation where QBs and running backs and the divas get paid their money, and the guys in the trenches get nothing. Now they're pissed off, and now some of them might actually say, well, old Fromm there, he's getting his. What am I getting? Nothing. Maybe I make him lie down for a few plays in a row, and maybe he doesn't get his money anymore because now the fans are booing his ass.
Yeah,
that's
I mean,
a potential.
You look in the NFL where everyone gets a paycheck every week, so it's different. But compare it to college. When's the last time you saw an offensive lineman on a nationwide commercial? Never. But who do you see? Aaron Rodgers. And so to the people who have been saying for years that college athletes deserve to get paid because the universities make millions off the backs of these players, to those people, what do you now say to the second string center who's not going to get a dime? What do you say to those people? So this doesn't solve the problem as far as I'm concerned. This doesn't solve if you're one of these people who's been saying this isn't fair, the NCAA makes millions, these players bust their ass and blah, 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 and they should be getting paid. If you're one of those people,
I'm not.
You better still be singing that same tune, because these changes that are coming does nothing outside of lining the pockets of maybe the top 5 to 10% of players in college football. That's it. Nobody is putting BVD. They love to joke on you about that long snapper y'all signed, right? No one's putting him in a commercial. They're just not. He's not going to make a dime.
Apparently, you haven't seen my long snapper.
Wait,
Oh, here
what?
we go.
Whoa, wait a minute. Wait a minute. What,
Hey, you brought it up.
if we're gonna talk midget porn, we'll put that off till next week.
Oh, dear
Oh
Christ.
man, that's just terrible.
Stop it. Stop it now. No,
Hey,
but I got an answer for that.
This is
I got
great
an answer
having
for that.
great having both of y'all on, because I can go get a refill on my coffee, and you two guys can continue. I'll be back. I'll be back.
just
I'll be
got
back in a
bottle of
second.
water out of the fridge. My throat's dry. But you know, I always argue that why we don't pay these players. I do argue this one thing. How about the fact that most of these kids are on scholarship? They're getting an education. Now, I realize that a lot of these guys don't finish school and blah, blah, blah like that, but they are getting an education. And speaking as a father who is currently putting 2 daughters through college, and I know what a college education costs. Now, granted, they're both at a state university, and the price is lower at a public university than a private one, like, say, Miami, for example. But these kids are getting a college education if they see it through, and that is worth, you know, tens of thousands of dollars. And they get that degree, and that degree enhances their employment prospects and their salary prospects for the rest of their lives. And in a way, they are already getting paid, because they're getting the education, the room, the board, the books, the meals, all that stuff. The university is fronting them for 3 or 4 years of commitment to playing on their sports teams. And, you know, neither one of my daughters were blessed with, you know, they were blessed with many things, but neither one of them were blessed with athletic ability to the point where a university would say, yes, I will pay you to come to my university. Now, they got academic scholarships and stuff, but, you know, nobody ever makes that argument that people are giving them, these kids from mostly from the inner cities, poor situations. They're getting a very valuable college education on the university's dime, and that counts for something.
That's always been the first thing people that are against this will throw up. You know, it's been going on for years. You know, the first thing the people that oppose paying players is you're getting that free education, and I agree. They are getting a free education. I guess the argument that I would, being like you, having a daughter that wasn't blessed with athletic ability, what about the rest of the athletes in other sports at that university? That's always going to be an argument. You know, what about the women's lacrosse players? Where's their money? That's always going to come up.
Well, their money is produced usually by the football and or the basketball team that covers all the, dozen or so sport. I mean, you know, Florida has a women's lacrosse team. Florida has men's and women's soccer team.
Mm-hmm.
You think they're making any money? Hell no. I mean, my older daughter goes to the University of Florida. I am a proud Gator father. When she lived on campus for a couple of years, her dorm overlooked the women's softball field, the practice field, and the actual stadium they played in. And she saw the stadium during games was maybe a quarter full at best. You know, Florida baseball doesn't draw very, very well until they start getting into the conference season. Their dime is being picked up by the marquee programs, the football team and the basketball team. And that's just the way of the world. And yes, my university is making bank on the football program, the basketball program, the merchandise that those two programs generate, the ticket sales, the TV revenue, and it pays for all the other sports that the University of Florida has for men and women. They don't have to worry about having their budgets covered because football and basketball cover it. And all those other athletes, whether they're a lacrosse player on the women's team or they're a defensive end, second string for the football team, they're all on scholarship. The university's picking it up. And they're picking it up because of revenue from sports. And somebody just did a super chat and said that my argument about the free education is a musty argument. Yeah, it's a musty argument. You know what? The Mustang is a musty car. It's been around for 50 odd years. The argument has been around for 50
No
odd
argument
years.
here.
You know why it's been around for that long? Because it's a legitimate point. And it's a real point, and people ignore it, and they don't want to talk about it because it's an argument that can shut down a good percentage of the whole discussion. And I'm not criticizing the super chat guy. I think it was Dylan. I think it was his name. Shout out to him. It was his opinion is as valuable as mine. But it's a legitimate point. And yes, it's an old legitimate point. But hey, I'm an old legitimate man, but I'm still relevant. I'm still still a relevant point.
Speaking of super chats, Greg has a couple of super chats that I think you'll agree with. SALEEN Driver. First off, he says Gus Malzahn and Manny Diaz for 10-year extensions. Your thoughts on that, sir?
Yeah, Malzahn's already got the extension, but yeah, I think Manny Diaz should be signed as a Huracan coach for life. And
I would agree.
After 2 more games against the Hurricanes, the Gators will be at 500 with them, and then we can legitimately say that we have a winning record against every program in the state of Florida.
Amazing. And
I detect a little lack of love in that statement.
Yeah.
I have no love for anything to do with the Miami Hurricane. Respect to the Miami Hurricane fans. I love you all. You stand by your team, and that's great. But I have no love for the Hurricanes.
I want to read through. I want to read through the other couple of super chats, but then I want to ask BVD. I want to ask you to do something after that. But then Greg, thank you again, sir. He says Miami hires a new OC, and they already saying that you is back. Here they go again. Y'all are the worst. Y'all are worse than Texas fans. Just delusional. Yeah, I talked about that some in the awards video yesterday, but. And that's kind of what I want to ask you about, BVD, in just a second. But From's middle finger, thank you for the super chat, sir. He says, I would like to thank SALEEN Driver for appearing on the show, and happy birthday wishes to BVD. Who lost in the game last night? I'm guessing Tech. No. Tech actually won 37-7 in round 1 of the worst playoffs last night over Kansas. So Kansas advances to the finals by losing. That's how the worst playoffs work. Thank you for the super chat. Dylan George, thank you, sir. He says these kids are getting an education argument is so musty. They're making the schools millions, period. College education value is hyper inflated. The schools, like I said a minute ago, the schools are still going to be making millions and not giving one dime of it to the college player, according to, so.
Oh, Lou, can I make one more point on that?
Yeah.
Just one more thought just occurred to me because what Dylan said. Yeah, the universities are making millions on their sports programs. You know how that also benefits a lot of people, including especially for the public universities? The public universities making millions from their sports programs means that your tax dollars are not going as much to the universities because they're making millions off the sports programs. Therefore, your education tax dollar hit on your paycheck is lower, and some of that money that would go to the universities now gets to go to the general fund, and that means that they can build roads, bridges, There can be better programs for the poor and less fortunate, and so on and so on. So
Yeah.
university making bank is actually a good thing, not only for the university, but for the state that it's in, because tax dollars.
Does it really matter that the school is making millions? In other words, if you're of the opinion that a college football player should be paid for what he does it matter whether the school made $10,000 or $10 million? Like, would that change if let's take a smaller school here, Georgia State. Georgia State's not making millions of dollars off of their football team.
Oh, yes, they are.
Do Georgia State's players not deserve to be paid because the school is not making millions of dollars? The argument doesn't make any sense. If you're of the opinion that college football players deserve to be paid, it's not the college football player's responsibility whether or not the school is making money or not. So shouldn't they be paid either way? And here's the other thing here. I'm assuming everyone that thinks college football players should be paid are against every form of free internship ever put forward, ever. So all these students who are majoring in education that have to spend 2 and 3 semesters student teaching for free, are you against that? Should the schools, should a high school now be forced to pay a student teacher for their 6-month internship that they have to do that they're currently doing for free? What about medical interns? Your average medical student graduates and owes $200,000. How much does the average football player owe to the university when they graduate? Zero.
Actually, I can. My older daughter is actually in the education program at UF. She's going for teacher. So I feel that argument, certainly, because, yeah, she's about to graduate. Then she starts her 1-year master's program, and she'll have to intern at a school district and somewhere in Florida. And, we don't know what she's going to get paid, if anything, to, finish her education off. And, that's tough.
Yeah. And I mentioned teaching and medical, but this applies to almost every other broadcasting is another one. Almost every single person on the face of the earth who has a job in radio started there for free while they were in college as an intern, working 10 at night to 4 in the morning when no one was listening. There's more people watching this show right now than listen to some of these college radio stations from 10 at night to 4 in the morning.
That's a fact.
They're not paid. So I'm assuming if you're a pay-for-play person that you assume there should be no internships, that it's just it somehow should be against the law. A doctor has to work. A teacher has to go to school and work for free at a school for months to prove they can be a teacher before they get hired to do it for money. Why not college football? It's the same thing. So again, it gets back to just because the school is making money off of football, does that make what a football player is doing somehow worth money? Whereas a teacher forced to teach for free for 6 months or a year, is that somehow not worth money? I don't really understand the argument there. Something else that is the football and basketball programs money made pays for other sports that don't make money, i.e. wrestling, volleyball, golf, etc. Yeah, I mean, we really need to get away from the whole thought process of the school is making millions, so the kids deserve some. The kids aren't getting any of that money. It's just not happening. The kids are not getting a salary. They're not getting a paycheck from the school. Whatever the school's made this year, they're going to make even more next year, whether the players are getting paid from a car dealership or not. The schools are not paying these kids a dime. It's just not going to happen. It's just not. So this whole thing that, they're making millions of dollars, they're still going to be making millions of dollars. And this, Rob makes a great point here. Football at big-time schools and basketball at big-time schools pays for a lot of other things that go on at that school. You know how expensive it is to run an equestrian program?
How about, do you know how expensive it is to run a university? I mean, have you ever looked behind the curtain of a university? I have. I had to, as part of my education. The sheer, I mean, just take one aspect, the food service at a university, and the size of a Georgia or a Tennessee or a Florida, or even a smaller one like Georgia State. I mean, just feeding these kids is expensive. The security is expensive. Running the buildings is expensive. The power, the sewer treatment. I mean, University of Florida used to have its own sewage treatment plant. They don't anymore, but they did. And it cost millions to run the damn thing because 400,000 students flushing toilets is going to produce a lot of crap.
If you look at what you just said, too, SALEEN Driver, the facilities that these big time schools and really even a lot of the smaller schools are ramping it up now. What these kids get to go play football, to go play, baseball, to play basketball that are offered at these athletic facilities now is just, I mean, it borderlines on absurdity and ridiculousness. The locker rooms, have recliners and masseuses and, I mean, juice bars, and I mean, it's crazy what all these kids get now. I mean, I'm not trying to make an argument for or against. I'm just saying there's a huge amount of benefits that they're getting. And I don't think either one of you have mentioned, these players get a stipend. I don't know how much it is. I've heard Billy talk about it over on the road show that the players do get some kind of small stipend. It's not much, but are all of the athletes getting that? I don't think they are. That might be, a question for someone else to answer, but why is it fair that they get it and the rest of the athletes? That's what it boils down to, is what's fair and what's fair and what's unfair.
Yeah, people get too wrapped. I mean, life is not fair in general. I mean, you can't. If you want, the only way to make everything, I hate to bring up this word, but here comes the type, I guess. But the only way to make everything, quote unquote, fair is complete communism or socialism. That's it. Other than that, it's never going to be fair. One guy sells widgets for $10 an hour. A different widget store opens up down the road and is paying $15 an hour. That's not fair.
I just triggered Slim Shady. I'm sorry, Slim.
I saw that too.
I'm sorry, Slim. I didn't mean to trigger you like that. But I would point out that the Hernandez thing occurred after he graduated, so got nothing to do with my university.
Negative. I have to call BS there. He was shooting people at Florida and getting away with it. So.
Well. All right, so
I mean, a Hispanic male, full of muscles, exactly the same height as Aaron Hernandez, same build, looks like Aaron Hernandez. Let's just. But that got swept under the rug. But it was, especially now looking back, it's pretty clear.
I was just talking about the one charge he was convicted of. I wasn't talking about the other stuff. I know that happened at U.S. I know
he killed at least 3 people that we know of. So.
Yeah, but that happened
4 if you include himself.
After.
So, but anyway.
I didn't mean to trigger old Slim Shady Kane. I didn't mean to do that. So.
I think you did mean to. Rob W. says sports revenue less than revenue of the students with degrees making their lifetime without education. A degree is worth a hell of a lot. I agree, and I think sometimes we forget that because, again, we get caught up in the whole, it's not fair, and the schools are making millions. The majority of student athletes who are on scholarship wouldn't be anywhere near that campus if it weren't for their ability to play that sport. So, and how many make it to the pros? Less than 1% of college athletes make it to the pros. 100% of college athletes have a chance to earn a degree. So,
well, that counts for something.
This idea that they're not getting anything, maybe you could make an argument that you think they deserve more, but you can't make an argument that they don't get anything. That's just ridiculous. Mike Williams, thank you for that super chat, sir. He says, good morning, Lou. Go Hurricanes. Slim Shady, I'm a little offended a person who cheered for Aaron Hernandez makes a convict comment about my team. You know, Miami has been one of the dirtiest programs over an extended period of time, but Florida in the late 2000s was a complete mess. It just was.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
it got. But you know what? I guess the difference is, and I don't have a dog in that fight. I don't care for Florida or Miami. It was a brief period of time at Florida, and whether it was because Urban Meyer quit and left or whatever the reason, it wasn't allowed to linger on at Florida. Miami, it seems to me that Miami, especially some of their fans, they want to get back to that. They somehow, because Miami won during a period of time where, you know, it was cocaine and hookers and strip clubs and, you know, Uncle Luke and all, they somehow conflate the two that they need to get back to that in order to, like, win national titles again or something. It seems like a lot of the fans want that. But you hear a lot of comments like that, like we need to get back to the way it used to be, and I'm not so sure. I mean, Miami got caught and got busted and got in a lot of trouble, but like they got away with a lot of things too that probably they would not get away with today. So I don't know if they should be careful, you know, sort of like a be careful what you wish for type of thing there if you're a Miami fan. Braves WS says, I'll be 24 in 13 days, so I'm probably one of the youngest who don't like the idea of players being paid. I feel like it's going to kill college football. Dylan George says, search your feelings, Lou Skywalker. Search your feelings.
Lou Skywalker. That kills me.
Robert Smith wants to know why BBD sounds different this morning. SALEEN, you want to take that one?
I don't know. You sound the same to me. I mean, well, I'm listening to you on my phone. I'm not listening. I muted my computer because of the feedback problem.
I'm
you sound
guessing.
the same to me.
I'm guessing he may have joined us late this morning and heard you talking and wondering.
Oh, okay, yeah. No, this is a SALEEN driver down here in sunny and warm today, Florida. Lou let me in on for a three-way call. God, that sounds dirty when I say it too, doesn't it?
Ruben Terry says athletes will make a set monthly wage across the board. Boosters will make up the rest for the star athletes. That's
Really?
just literally not true. I don't know where. I don't know if maybe he's saying that's what he thinks should happen. Like the schools should just pay every athlete whatever, make up a number, $25,000 a year. And then boosters can pay the stars more if they want, but that's literally not what anyone is talking about doing. Not the NCAA, not any schools. Very few schools could afford to pay every single athlete they have $20,000 or $25,000. Very few, if any. I mean, football alone, how many are there? 100? 110? Not very many schools can afford to pay every student athlete $25,000, $30,000, $40,000 a year.
I mean, that's not a bad idea, you know, from a certain perspective. The schools do a small salary, and if the boosters want to kick in more, or they can get more money through their likeness and whatever. I mean, that would satisfy both ends of the argument, I guess. But like you said, Lou, the vast majority of the universities can't afford to do it. And you know what? And the public universities like Georgia, Tennessee, Florida, Florida State, whatever, those are taxpayer-funded schools. I don't think the taxpayers in those states would do it. I don't think they'd pass that provision. I think that the taxpayer, I know as a taxpayer in my state, I would say, hell to the F no. You know, you're taking enough money out of my paycheck to begin with. Thank you very much.
What about the lotteries? Is there any chance you can incorporate lottery funding into this? And I know not every state has lotteries, and I know a lot of the states like Tennessee, you know, the lottery funds already go towards scholarships and stuff.
That's how it is here,
or
too. If you have a
Yeah.
certain
I
grade
think
point average in high school here in the state of Georgia, if you maintain a certain grade point average in high school, you can go to any public university in the state of Georgia and they will pay your tuition. So
we have that here. It's called Bright Futures. My daughters are on it. But in a state like ours, BVD, with Tennessee and Florida, where we don't have a state income tax, that might fly. But on a state like Lou's, Georgia, where you have a 6, last time I was there was 6% state income tax, I think that the taxpayers of the state would absolutely charge the Capitol building with pitchforks and torches. You're going to take 6%, and oh, by the way, under the new tax law, I can't deduct my state income tax anymore, which was that's a whole nother subject. But now you're going to take more money from the education fund and from my paycheck and pay these athletes a salary?
So
no.
If a school is state funded,
right,
and I pay taxes in that state, and the school then pays players, does Jake Fromm work for me?
Yes, technically.
Can I fire him?
He works for the state, actually.
Works for the state. So I can't fire. I wouldn't be able to fire a player. That's what you're saying.
No,
Okay.
But you might be able to start a petition to restrict his vacation time.
Yes.
So he can't go fishing.
Yes, that would be great.
No, it'd be like these idiots on YouTube that you see making these videos all the time. Well, you're a cop, you work for me. They can't fire cops. So,
right.
my tax dollars pays your salary.
Yeah, we call them sovtards.
Am I being detained or am I free to go?
Sovereign citizens.
Yeah.
I call them sovtards.
What about the ones? We should do that one morning, BVD. Just play some of those videos. Because some of them are funny. I mean, the people are assholes and they're just out looking for trouble. But some of the videos end up being funny. But what about the ones that will purposely go through a DUI checkpoint? And then complain that they're in a DUI checkpoint, or like they only roll their window down like this much, and just stick their license through, or even better, the ones that won't roll down their window at all, and they just have they have a pre-printed like flyer that they hold up against the window and make the police officer read. It's like I'm not.
I know
rolling
the
my
law.
Window down. Yeah.
I know my rights.
I watch those videos all the time. I can name you a few channels where you can get those videos. I got one name for you, T. Barnes. Look him up. That's a classic. The man is a hero to the to those folks that watch those videos.
Yeah.
P. Barnes is one of our heroes.
Yeah.
I think we've all probably spent hours in that rabbit hole.
Oh man, I fell down it multiple times. Yeah. And like I said, you get to the point where you watch enough of them and you're just like, okay, like sometimes sometimes I even want to be on their side. Well, not really. I guess what I mean is I am one of those people who think that that police officers have a little bit too much power in this country. I think I don't think they're held accountable enough when things go bad. But it's a lot easier, I think, to take the citizens' side when it really is a random interaction. When you got these people who are going out, like you got people that'll take their license plate off their car and circle the police station all day.
Yeah.
They want to get pulled over so that they can record themselves being an asshole to the cop in hopes that the cop will do or say something he shouldn't do or say. It's hard. It's hard to feel bad for that guy, but when you see the when you see the viral videos where a random person just happens to get pulled over, right, and just happens to remember to turn their cell phone on or something, and the cop steps out of line or something, those are the people I feel bad for. But these people who ride around and intentionally, there's ones like in Arizona and Texas and New Mexico that'll do this in border patrol stations that are like 30 miles off the border or something, border checkpoints, and they'll go through the checkpoint. And are you a U.S. citizen? Well, why do I have to answer that? And they're like, well, you're going through a border checkpoint. Well, is there a border here? Like, I'm not aware that I crossed any border. The border's 30. And they just go on and just, and they act like they're being inconvenienced because they're being stopped at this checkpoint or whatever. But they intentionally went there. So, no, you're not being inconvenienced. You're doing this for reaction, So it's harder to feel sorry for those people.
There's some real jerks out there doing that. I'm like you. I watch those things, and 90% of the time, I almost find myself in favor of the cop.
Oh, me too. The ones
like,
that drive around intentionally, yeah, me too, for sure.
But there's another offshoot to those folks, First Amendment auditors. Now those people are truly scumbags. I mean, they go into like places like post offices.
Oh yeah.
And government.
Oh yeah.
And hospitals where privacy is paramount.
Yeah.
I worked in hospitals and medical offices. You ever heard of HIPAA? And they get arrested and thrown out, and then they scream about, First Amendment rights. I can videotape. You can't trespass what you can't see. Blah blah blah. Shoot them with tasers and juice them until they bleed.
I'm not quite sure where you stand on this, SALEEN. What are you trying to tell us here?
Those First Amendment auditors are nuts,
though. I'm not very subtle about my opinions. I never have been. I never will.
Shouldn't be. Yeah.
And DVD, you and I are of the same age. You should know at this stage of our lives, no F's given is our motto. Lou, you'll get there.
Yeah.
Oh wait, you're.
Oh, Lou's already there on the whole no F's given.
Yeah. That's why I love Lou. That's why I love him. Even though he's a Georgia fan.
The Planter's Jar says, many camel toes forgets check wipe me as well. I have no idea what that means.
Do you speak English?
I'm going to go back and look at this one again.
Yeah, dude, English, sir. Do you speak it?
Do you speak it?
The young generation coming up behind us learning to speak English by texting.
I'll be in like 20 minutes.
Is that Mrs. Lou?
No, Luann.
I was going to say that's one of the bosses.
Is no
she
Luann.
Sick today?
Well, she went to school, but her grandma just went and picked her up and brought her home. I guess she's sick. They probably tried to call me, but
poor kid.
I
got to meet Lou Jr. I didn't get to meet Luann or Mrs. Lou. I'm kind of disappointed about that.
They're way more shy. Lou Jr. is sort of shy, but not nearly as shy as the other two, as Luann.
I think Lou Jr. probably looked at me and says, "Who is this lunatic?"
Well, yeah, you got to remember though, like Lou Jr. goes to the games with me when I go, so he's sort of used to meeting quote unquote strangers who, from YouTube or whatever. That's just what he kind of that's really the only way he knows to describe it or whatever. Not, I don't consider you a stranger, but I think you know what I mean. So
no, I know. And I got to meet your dad, and that was kind of neat. He's a hell of a guy.
Yeah, Lou Jr. calls all of you guys, BVD, you, SALEEN Driver, everybody in the comment section. He just refers to y'all as a group as the people.
The people.
Yeah. Like
I'll
say
I've certainly been called worse.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been called worse. Yeah.
I mean, I'm a big guy. I've been called the people many times, but not in that vein.
Like, instead of saying like what time do you got to go to work or something like that, he'll say like, if he knows I have a live show that day, like in the mornings now with the morning show, his bus comes about 8:10 or 8:15, and I start this show at 8, so I get him ready and all that in the morning, and he'll say like if I'm inside and it's like 7:40 or something, he'll go, don't you have to go outside and get ready for the people? You gonna go outside and talk to the people? Yeah, I'm gonna go talk to the people.
Well, that's good though. At least he's not calling us like the idiots, or um, I'm sure there's a few of us he probably considers idiots or worse. But
Yeah.
He used to be in a lot of the like if anybody is ever really really bored and you go back and watch videos from like the first year or so that I was on YouTube, he was in a lot of the videos back then. But as he gets older, you know how it is when you start to get older, you become like more aware, more self-conscious, and like now, like of course everyone at his school watches YouTube, right? And so he's, the last thing he wants to do is have somebody at his school come across one of my YouTube videos and see him on there or something. I mean, God forbid he gets caught hanging out with his dad. You know what I mean? That would just be the worst. And
has that ever happened riding around town with him, like maybe at a drive-through or anything like that? You guys are out and somebody recognizes you.
Yeah, it doesn't happen a lot here in town, but it has happened, I don't know, maybe a dozen times or so at a restaurant or something like that. But again, like when we go, when we go to the games, it's he's used to it from that because it happens so often at the games and things that we go to. But
I wasn't recognized at a place from my YouTube channel, which is tiny, but I was actually out with a LouTube hat on, and somebody in Bradenton, which is just above me, recognized LouTube, and we started talking for like 20 minutes or so about LouTube, and just because of the hat. And he was wondering why I put a Gator pin on the LouTube hat, but I said, that's just to piss Lou off.
You know what's funny about my kids and YouTube, though? I mean, I guess they're like every other kid. Like I honestly can't tell you the last time either one of my kids watched TV. Almost all they watch is YouTube anymore, and they love YouTube. So you would think like having a dad who does YouTube would be cool. It's not. My daughter is like, she won't tell anybody. She doesn't want anybody seeing me on YouTube. Any of her friends. Like, there's a few of her real close friends, like the ones that come over and spend the night or might come over for a couple of days during the summer or whatever. And you can't hide it then because I'm out here working all day. And like, what is he doing? I'm making a YouTube video. But like in general, like at school, if people are talking about YouTube or something like that, she would never say, "Oh, my dad has his own YouTube channel." She would not. I mean, she would rather die. I mean, that's like her worst nightmare is that everybody at school were to find out that her dad had a YouTube channel. Like, it would just be the most embarrassing thing to her.
I can relate. Perfectly. Yep.
I tell her whenever she steps out of line, I was like, you better start behaving. I'm going to call up all your friends and send them the link to my YouTube channel.
No, even worse, you make a video about it. and make the video go viral. Oh, she would die of embarrassment. Oh, yeah. She'd snap right in the line.
I like to take screenshots of some of my older videos where my daughter's in them. And in fact, I did this just the other day. I took a screenshot of her and one of her little friends like 10 years ago that I had them in one of my videos and sent it to her. And she's like, "Oh my God, Dad." You know how they are. I mean, she's like Lou said, they don't want anybody knowing that we do YouTube. And in a small town like this, almost any time we go, which is rare, that we go somewhere together, if we go out to eat somewhere, inevitably almost every time somebody is going to recognize me from, if nothing else, from the Greenville videos, and it just embarrasses the crap out of her.
Yeah, and it's just the weirdest thing to me because, like, kids nowadays, especially my kids' age, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, in that range there, all they watch is YouTube, and they look at these YouTube people like me and you would look at Joe Montana when we were kids. Like, they're famous to these kids. But but then here I am, and I'm like the most embarrassing thing ever. Like, it's weird.
Have you ever watched a YouTube video?
Well,
Lou?
you make a good point. Yeah, you make a good. But then, yeah, I hear what you're saying. But then I watch the videos that Luann watches, and these people are, they're making complete fools of themselves, and she loves it. But not me. Not Dad, though. Dad can't do that. That's not
I
right.
can relate to that entire story perfectly. My kids don't watch TV anymore. They watch YouTube videos. And I look at some of the videos they watch, I say, what the hell are you watching?
Yeah.
And yet they think what I'm doing on YouTube is silly. They
Ruben-
won't watch my channel. They
Ruben
won't even
Terry,
subscribe
thank you
to
for
my
the super
channel.
chat, sir. He says Power 5 schools would make the most, football players would make the most, and the rest would trickle down from there to the other athletic departments. Well, that's not fair, Ruben. That's
The
not
old
fair at all.
trickle down effect.
That's not fair at all. That doesn't sound fair to me at all.
The potential for socialistic revenue sharing is big on this one.
I don't know if this is.
And,
I
and
just
that
don't know if
pisses
this
me
is
off
fair.
more than anything else.
How much is the women's diving team making per athlete a year? How much?
Well, what if
Just
you're-
about break that down by the dive.
$5
Yeah,
per dive.
what if you're a school without a diving team? Then what are you gonna do?
Yeah. Well, that's what would happen. I think if these schools were actually forced to pay every student athlete, a lot of these athletic programs would go away. Diving, swimming. Georgia's got a great equestrian team. You think it's cheap to run a gymnastics program? No.
No.
That's
well,
the
hey,
and you know what else
no.
too? I think some people confuse income with profit. Football programs.
Oh, a lot of people
football
do because
programs.
The education system is for shit around
A,
here.
a football program's income is extremely high, but how much do you think it cost Georgia to play a road game at LSU?
A lot.
100,000, 200,000, 300,000. A lot of money.
I would say transporting all that equipment and the players and everything, and the band.
The
And all
band,
that.
yeah.
Hell, I'd say 500 to 750,000 easy.
How many hotel rooms are rented out? How much food? I'm not trying to act like the football programs don't still come out ahead. Clearly they do, but a lot of that money is taken from the football department and given to the women's soccer team, the diving team, the
Which
lacrosse
makes no
team. So it's not. It's there's the athletic director might have a ridiculous salary, right? I don't know. Let's say it's $1 million a year, but it's not like if the athletic department makes $10 million this year, he gets that. I mean, that money is reinvested in upgraded facilities, recruiting budgets. All kinds of stuff. Light shows, yes.
Classic illustration, Lou, of what you're talking about. And I know you've seen the movie The Program.
Oh man,
I don't know
that's
if
my
you've seen
favorite football movie of all time.
Well, then you remember the scene where they're in the weight room and the tennis player's working out, and he comes in there and she makes the comment, well, this is the only time that I can come into the weight room when all you football players are not in here. And he responds, well, you wouldn't have this nice weight room if it wasn't for us football players.
Ding, ding,
That's
ding.
a lot of things people don't think about. Yeah.
Right.
Speaking of whatever it was I was speaking of, I got to step out, Lou. I told you, I've got a doctor's appointment this morning. And SALEEN, great talking to you this morning. Good to meet your voice. Good to know you're older than me too. That always helps. And
well, thank you, DVD, and good to talk with you. Face to face, as it were. And happy birthday, man.
Thank you.
Happy birthday. I hope you enjoy the day.
Yeah, happy
Thank
birthday,
you.
BBD.
After all the crap you have to go through.
thanks to all the kind folks out there in the chats for the super chats this morning for the birthday wishes. And if you're not busy tonight on a Friday night, first of all, what's wrong with you? What are you doing with your life? Second of all, Come visit me on my live stream tonight. We're going to have a lot of fun at 8 o'clock. And the same thing applies. If you're not in my live streams on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday at 8, what are you doing with your life? Lou, have a good one.
All right, BVD. Happy
We'll talk
birthday,
to you
buddy.
tonight.
Yes, sir.
Thanks. You guys have a great weekend.
All right, yep. And I'm gonna wrap it up here soon too. I gotta go inside and check on Luann. But let's run through the last few of these super chats here. Braves WS says UJ beat you to it, Lou. Not sure what he's talking about. That's the problem with not reading the super chats right when they come in. Sometimes I lose the context. UJ beat you to it. But thank you for the super chat, sir. Waikiki, how's it going, Lou and BVD? Going great. Good morning to you, sir. Hope you're having a good Friday. Braves WS says he speaks peanut. Oh, the peanut jar. I don't speak peanut, Woo. Do I have that? No, I don't.
Hey, Waikiki didn't say hello to me, man.
Waikiki, you better say hello to SALEEN Driver. Don't be rude to our guests, sir. Slim Shady, thank you for that super chat, sir. He says, not all schools make their money from football, though. University of Memphis has graduated more porn stars than NFL players. I think their money comes from the liberal arts program.
Oh, thank you for that. That was great.
The Southern Cal rowing program made a ton of money over the last 5 or 6 years through people like Lori Laughlin and these other rich people who were paying. You know about this, SALEEN Driver. These rich people were paying, like Southern Cal and Stanford and UCLA, these rich schools. They were paying these schools like $300,000-$500,000 to give their kids like rowing scholarships. Kids ain't never even been in a boat. And of course, they got busted. A few of those people went to jail. I mean, not for very long. I think some of them did 10 days, 15 days, 30 days. But
the worst part of all that was, for me personally, the worst part of all that wasn't the paying for the scholarships and all that. The worst part for me was paying off for the SAT. The fact that the SAT test can be gamed like that really worries the hell out of me.
Yeah.
Because SAT and ACT, that's the thing. I mean, you could have a grade point average is pretty damn good. Ask me how I know. But if your SAT score is middle of the road or maybe a little above average, you ain't getting in where you want to go because that test score is big. And the fact that they were able to break the system and game the SAT system, that's the part that worries me.
Right.
Even though my kids are now past that and I don't have to worry about that anymore, God willing, I get grandkids, they're going to have to go through that system. I hope they, ironclad the system up between now and then. That bothers me. I don't know if it bothers anybody else.
Well, I got something that won't bother you. Some good news for you. Waikiki has changed his mind, sent another super chat, and said, "What's up, SALEEN Driver?"
Oh, thank you, Waikiki. I appreciate
Yeah,
that. I was just playing.
He's good people. He's been around here a long time. He's a West by God, Virginia fan.
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
I've been around so long on your channel.
Yeah.
I know most of these people's. And I recognize the screen names. I know what most of these people root for.
Yeah. I get irritated sometimes when people it's usually not in live. Usually most people that show up for the live shows are pretty familiar to me, and so same thing. I see the name and I automatically associate a team to it. But it's irritating when I get somebody in a comment section, like on an uploaded video, that will try to argue with me about whatever, Georgia this, Georgia that, and I have no idea who they are or what team they root for. I'm almost to the point now where I won't even reply to those people, because unless I know what team you root for, I'm not interested in what you have to say about my team. Because I need to be able to rebut that some kind of way, and if I don't know what team you root for, there's probably a reason. You're probably embarrassed.
Well,
to say.
Know who I root for, so.
Yeah. But we're gonna wrap the show up. SALEEN Driver, this was great. It was good to have you on again. And again, for those of you listening, this is something we're gonna do or try to do about once a week. We're going to try to have, me and BVD are going to try to have a third person on once a week or so. SALEEN Driver, we'd love to have you on again. Obviously, you've been on several times.
I was about to ask.
And we'd love to have you on again. And we definitely will. But we would like to have some others of you on too. I know a lot of you listen like while you're at work or something like that, and so you can't call in the morning show. And of course, we understand that, and that's fine. But if there is a day where you're off, or for whatever reason you're free and you're able to call in and you want to call in, please email me, crazyuncle.lou@gmail.com, and we will try to schedule a day, Monday, Wednesday, or Friday, that's good for you, that you can be a guest here on the morning show with me and BVD. I think I got somebody lined up for next week. It's a Georgia fan. I don't want to say who it is yet, which kind of try to keep it a surprise.
Hey, you know who needs to be on there?
Who?
SALEEN's Glitter Gator.
Oh,
you need to get
let's
him
get
on
the
there.
Glitter Gator
Come
on
on,
here.
SALEEN Glitter Gator.
Yeah.
Come on, Glitter Gator. You got to get on there.
Come out.
And
come
also,
out, wherever you are.
My personal troll, the Gator hater.
Yeah.
Got to get him on there.
Yeah. We'll see what we can do. If they're listening, email me.
Shout out to those guys.
Let's do it. Jared Grant, thank you for the super chat. He said Georgia Tech going 15-0 this year. Wow. We are really taking the whole offseason 15-0 thing to a whole new level here. Georgia Tech going 15-0.
Put down the crack pipe, man. Put down the crack pipe. It's too early in the morning.
Thank you for the super chat, though, Jared. I'm not sure if you watched last night's stream, but Georgia Tech did beat the bejesus out of Kansas 37-7 in round one of the UNCLELOU worst of the worst 2019 college football playoff. So congratulations for that. Rob D says 51 likes. Pump those numbers up. Those are rookie numbers. You guys make sure and give the video a thumbs up before you click off the video, before you log off the video. It's free, doesn't cost you any money, doesn't take you any time at all, but it's a huge help to me, the thumbs up, with the way YouTube works with their algorithms. I would really, really appreciate it. Big shout out to everybody in the comment section today. Appreciate you guys tuning in for another edition of the morning show with me and BVD. We do this every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 8 a.m. We love it when you can watch live and participate with us in the comments section. But even if you can't watch it live, the one of the general ideas behind this morning show is that you can treat it sort of like a podcast. People have been asking me for a long time to do a podcast. I don't have any interest in a podcast, just going to be honest. This is the closest thing you'll get. You can listen to this. You can put your phone in your pocket and listen to this while you're working out in the evenings, or whatever the case may be, if you're unable to listen to it live. We still do the night show every Tuesday and Thursday night at 10 p.m. Uncle Lou After Dark. That is the college football call-in show. 100% college football all the time on that night show. Morning show, we switch it up a little bit, talk about a bunch of different things. It was mostly sports today. Big shout out to everybody, too, in the super chat section. That's what keeps these live streams going. I really, really appreciate that. It means the world. You guys have no idea. Rob D., Jared Grant, Waikiki, Slim Shady, Braves WS, Ruben Terry, the Planners Jar, Dylan George, thank you, sir. Braves WS, Slim Shady again, Mike Williams, thank you, sir. Rob W., Rob D., Dylan George again, Fromm's Middle Finger, good morning. Greg, thank you, sir, for the super chats. And, of course, starting it off today, the first super chat of the day, none other than SALEEN Driver. Thank you, sir, for the super chat. I really, really appreciate it.
Well, I had to get mine in. Hey, Lou, can I say one more thing?
Of course. Yeah, of course.
It was, again, a privilege to be on your show. It's a privilege to support the channel, and it's a privilege to know you and to listen to you and to get facts from you when you're not trash talking. And believe me, I'm always appreciative when you trash talk and my team is not on your radar. I get a lot of great stuff out of this channel, and everybody got to hit that like button, got to support the channel. And by the way, if anyone in the chat watches, go to my channel. You'll love it.
Yeah, y'all check out his channel, SALEENDriver.com. He does some live shows, uploads some videos. You guys make sure you check it out. Just search the YouTube bar, SALEEN Driver. It's one word, SALEEN Driver. You'll find him. Check him out. Subscribe to him. Show him some love. And SALEEN Driver, thank you for taking the time this morning. It's always great to talk to you. Always great to have you on. Me and BVD really, Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
People
Thank you.
listening to me and BVD over and over and over again can really wear on people. So it was nice to have. Nice to have you on this morning and give people a break from listening to nothing but me and BVD. So
I
again, really
appreciate it, and I
appreciate it.
can't wait to come back.
Yeah, we'll have you on again for sure. All right, that's going to do it for today's show, everybody. Really appreciate y'all tuning in. The next live show on this channel will be Monday morning at 8 a.m. with me and BVD. But don't forget to check out BVD. He's got a couple of live shows coming up this weekend. So, all right, appreciate you guys tuning in, and we will talk to you again real soon. Have a good morning.